What's good, everybody? It's the Cloud with Cap Show. UFC 274 was iconic. Shout out to the new champion, Carla Esparza. She really, that fight was boring against her and Rose. I thought that was really just an awful fight. It really was. I'll get more into that, but shout out to Charles Oliveira. I told you guys go heavy on Charles. I just thought Charles is the champion. Yes, I understand he got stripped because he came in overweight, but I just think overall Charles is still the champion in my eyes, and that was really an easy pick. Nothing to take away against Justin Gaethje, what he's done for the UFC and where he's come all the way up to this spot. But I just think, man, Charles Oliveira, so underrated. So many people underrate his really a stand-up game. And yes, Gaethje was getting him the first couple minutes here and there, but we saw Charles start to explode, and we saw the right hand really connect on Gaethje. And Gaethje, really that was it. It was over. He got on top of Gaethje, choked him out, and that's that. And just round one, just like that. And I just think for Oliveira coming in overweight, having all the people really bet against you. We had a lot of people bet against Charles Oliveira, which is ignorant, right? It's just not understanding the sport. It's not understanding who really is the better fighter. Yes, Gaethje, I would give the edge stand-up game, because we saw a couple times Charles get dropped, and Gaethje didn't even want to go on the ground. Didn't even want to do that. He just said, stand back up. Let's just fight on our feet. But Charles eventually got him to the ground, choked him out. And look, and I think Charles now, what's next for him is hope he fights Islam. Why not, dude? I mean, these two guys are new. I wouldn't say Charles is new, but Islam's a little up and coming, newer. And I just think them two to fight, dude, I think it'd be great. It would do great numbers. It'd be great for the lightweight division for that belt. But I think right now, and still in my eyes, Charles Oliveira is the champion for a reason. He is, dude, and I think he's the most disrespected champion in the UFC roster right now, dude. Disrespect. I mean, people, they don't really talk about him that much. He's not really in the media, the headlines all the time, but he's still a champion in my eyes, and he will retain his belt just because he came over 0.5 overweight, dude. I think it's ridiculous, but, he got the job done. He had 33 total strikes against Gaethje, where Gaethje had 21 total strikes. I mean, the first 2 minutes, I would give the fight to Gaethje, but after then, it was all Oliveira, and this was easy. It's laughable when people bet against Charles Oliveira, and I was one of the guilty ones last fight betting against him, and I just won't do it. I will not bet against Charles Oliveira because he has not been defeated. He's on a mission, and like I said, dude, he's on a win streak right now, and he continues to win. He's on an 11-fight win streak. I just think, there's nothing stopping him, honestly. But the fight of the night, definitely, shout out to Michael Chandler beating Tony Ferguson. This was another pick that I got right. I said, Michael Chandler, he's just explosive. He's hungry. He's that fighter. And I'm telling you what, right now, the leg kick he threw in the second round to knock out Tony Ferguson, it was like, holy cow. Nobody saw it coming. Not even the camera guy saw it coming. It was just like, how did he throw that leg kick? And Michael Chandler, he's a beast. He called out, a rematch with Charles Oliveira and Gaethje. And he called out, one of the best icons of the sport, Conor McGregor. He said, I want to fight Conor McGregor. Let's go. He's the most, entertaining lightweight. I will agree. Michael Chandler, definitely the most entertaining fighter right now. Just in all the divisions, dude. And Michael Chandler, he's hungry. You can tell. You can just tell the way he fights, man. He fights with hunger. He fights with passion. We go to the McGregor's recent fight last year against Dustin Poirier. The hunger wasn't there. We just don't see the hunger anymore in McGregor. We just don't, man. You have to have hunger when it comes to the fight game, because if you slip a little bit, you're just not hungry anymore. I just think they're gonna catch up to you. Michael Chandler right now, he's super hungry. Hope he gets a rematch with Gaethje or Conor McGregor. I think that would do great numbers, right? I mean, both of them like to stand up. Both of them like to throw, big shots. So I think, why not? The business for Dana White, what they're continuing to do in the UFC, continue to grow. I don't see why they wouldn't make that fight. Michael Chandler McGregor, that seems reasonable. If not, Michael Chandler and Gaethje rematch. That fight, really, I thought it was really a fair fight, like an even fight. Even though they gave the fight to Gaethje, gave the nod to him, I still think Michael Chandler, there was a couple of moments in that Gaethje fight where it's like, holy cow, He's about to knock out Gaethje. If a couple things would have went right. But I just think for Michael Chandler, man, he's 23-7 in the UFC, and I think, going forward, man, Michael Chandler will get a title shot, and I can see Michael Chandler becoming champion one day. Now, obviously, Charles Oliveira, he's the top dog right now. He's the main guy, but I would love to see Michael Chandler get another fight this year at some point, maybe the end of summer. Who knows what's going to happen in that fight, but I just think, Michael Chandler and McGregor, that seems like the most reasonable matchup. It really does. And, a lot of stuff going on with Nate Diaz. What's going to happen to him? Is it going to be a McGregor, Diaz round 3 fight? I just think overall, looking at the bigger picture, Michael Chandler, the future's bright for this young man in the sport of UFC. I think, there's a lot of options he can decide. And I do think the fans love Michael Chandler because he brings it, man. He brings it every single fight. He entertains the fans. And I'm telling you, he loves fighting. You can just tell, dude. He's a warrior. He could have fought back in the, 10,000 BC ages. Michael Chandler, man, shout out to him. And then we had the women's strawweight title fight. Rose just lost this fight. Honestly, this was probably against Carla Esparza. Shout out to Carla Esparza. I just think this fight was so boring, dude. It was the most boringest fight I've ever seen on this card. If not really in a long time. It was just like, they would just throw and then back up. We saw Carla attempt some takedowns. Yes, she did have 2 successful takedowns in this fight, and I think that was kind of the difference maker. It really was. And yes, Rose, she had 38 total strikes. Carla, she had 30 total strikes. But, the 2 takedowns definitely was a difference maker later in the rounds. I just think for Rose, it wasn't the Rose that I used to see, right? It wasn't really the hungry Rose. I just think Rose was more like, let me just stay on the outside of Carla. That I feel like that was her game plan the whole fight, was just to move and stay on the outside and not get taken down, although she did get taken down, but it was boring, man. The fans were booing. It was really just a god-awful fight, and I hope Rose comes back from this. It was just, I don't know what it was. It was like, even for Rose, it was just like, I don't know, the energy's not there right now. The passion, I don't know what it was, but it just wasn't there that night. And Carla, I feel like overall in the whole fight, watching the fight, I think she was the aggressor most of the fight. So I think that's why they gave the championship to her, because she was the aggressor most of the fight. And I just think Rose was really passive. I feel like her thing was, I just don't want to get taken down and stay on the ground over 5 minutes. And she did good of getting right back to her feet. She wasn't really down that long, but it was just one of the things where it was like, it just wasn't the Rose that I'm accustomed to seeing, right? It wasn't the one where, I'm going to stick and move, throw some crazy leg kicks and all this. No, it was a boring fight, dude. Do they want to run it back? I don't know. I mean, yes, the fans, I don't know if they want to see this rematch. I mean, is it going to be the same type of fight? Just staying on the outside, not really throwing crazy leg kicks, and just kind of just going with the flow. And I think that really hurt Rose, definitely in the later rounds. She got taken down, I believe, in round 3 or 4. But got right back to her feet. But I just think from the bigger picture for Rose, you are the champion. So I feel like there's got to be a big difference between the two fighters. And in that fight, there really wasn't a huge difference. There really wasn't in skill or anything. It was just like, I don't know, dude. It was like they kind of fought like I'm fighting not to lose, really. And that's kind of how Rose fought. But, I love Rose. She will be back. I believe she'll retain that championship belt, that strawweight belt. But I just think for Carla Esparza, she had the better wrestling. We know that. And typically in the UFC, the better wrestlers sometimes often win. Not all the time, but sometimes they often win. And I think the ground control really was the difference maker in this fight. Carla had more ground than Rose, and that's probably why she won this fight. Even though Rose had a little bit more significant strikes, but I just think the pace of the fight was definitely in Carla's favor. That's why it went, and I think they should run it back, but it's just like, this fight was so boring. It was like, I don't even know if I want to see a rematch of this fight because it was just so boring, dude. It wasn't entertaining at all. Just think, but the fight before that was the Chandler-Tony Ferguson fight, and that was definitely fight of the night, dude. That was crazy, but I just think for Rose, she'll get back in it. Shout out to the new champion, Carla Esparza. She deserves it. But like I said, for Michael Chandler, the future is bright for this young man in this sport. I cannot wait. But I do think next for Michael Chandler is to fight McGregor or Gaethje. I think those are the two main fights that Michael Chandler should want to fight. should want to do. Obviously, Chandler understands if he fights McGregor, that'll do crazy numbers. That'll do the anticipation, the press conferences of that fight of Chandler and McGregor would be insane. But I would love to see Gaethje Chandler matchup, and I would really take Michael Chandler right now. I just think Michael Chandler is on a mission to get back to that title weight, to that title fight. So I can't wait for that. But, for Charles Oliveira, what's next for him and Justin Gaethje? For Gaethje, it's back to the basics. Obviously, you might go back to fight Michael Chandler. There's a lot of options. But for Charles Oliveira, Islam makes the most sense to me. These guys, they're at the top right now. So I think those guys should be the fight to make. And I think for Charles Oliveira, like I said, so disrespected, and a lot of people don't talk about him, but he's the champion, dude. And I understand, yes, the UFC did strip him because of the overweight thing, but I just think overall, the bigger picture, Charles Oliveira, he's still a champion in my book. He still is, dude. Coming from where he's come from in Brazil, really poor, and then all of a sudden now he's the champion. Not currently, but he will be. He'll retain his title again, and I can't wait. And we can tell, Charles Oliveira, he's hungry, dude. He is hungry. And I think a lot of people underestimate even his stand-up game. Even against Gaethje, and we can say Gaethje's one of the, great stand-up game, but, he even got pieced up late in that fight. And I say late in the fight, late in the first round, against Oliveira, and really Gaethje didn't have anything to notice. He didn't. He just got, that one hit, took him down, dropped Gaethje. And in the UFC, all it takes is one mistake, and that's it, dude. And Gaethje, he had one mistake. He threw and didn't have his hands up at the right time, and Charles Oliveira made him pay. Hit him with that right, and then boom, dropped him, choked him out, and that's it. It's over. Charles Oliveira, I think Charles Oliveira, Islam makes sense for the future fights. And then, who knows, Carla Rose, they could get a rematch. I don't know. That was such a boring fight. But Michael Chandler, man, next for him, dude, the future's bright. But Tony Ferguson, I think he's got to hang it up, dude. The prime Tony Ferguson is over. He's a Hall of Famer in my book. He's done great things for the sport. But right now, he's on the outside looking in. He's way past his prime. Yes, he did have some good moments in the first round, but, Michael Chandler, that leg kick in the second round was killer, dude. Michael Chandler is a beast. I'm telling you what, Michael Chandler versus McGregor, the end of the summer, baby. That would do crazy numbers. It's the Climbing with Cab show. Let's go!